So today in the studio we got an awesome guest, Howie Weiss. Howie is the man behind the scenes of many great brand companies, clothing, apparel. Howie, thanks for coming on the podcast.
It's my pleasure to be here today with you guys.
Howie, you know, you're the best, Howie.
Thank
In
you.
fact, Howie, well, I don't want to say, but, well, you were a client. It's okay to say that now.
I was a client.
But we want you to come back tomorrow because we just love seeing Howie.
Howie's the best.
I'll come back every day to kid around with you guys. Not a problem.
Yeah.
So Howie, how did you get into the manufacturing business and clothing and branding and?
Well, going back to 1975, which gives away a little bit of my age. Okay. A friend of mine went into the denim business. Okay, and called me up and asked me if I wanted to be a salesman because in those days I worked in men's clothing stores in Brooklyn where I grew up. So I said,
Brownsville, right?
well, Brownsville and then Canarsie,
That's
East
where Tyson came from.
Flatbush, yeah. Well, those were the good old days when I was a teenager, and they started a jean company called French Star Jeans.
Was denim huge then in
It was
1975?
very,
Or just the start?
It was very, very big in those days. You had brands like Viceroy, Faded Glory, Britannia, and these guys started a brand called French Star and eventually became Sergio Valente. So it became a big, big business, and in those days there was a tremendous amount of specialty stores to sell.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and their claim to fame was they had this light colored denim that this huge company, Britannia, called the J colored denim. And it was a light colored denim. And they wouldn't sell specialty stores. They only sold chain stores and department stores. So these two brothers, Marty and Izzy, they knocked off the denim and they went to the specialty stores, and the business went from zero to the moon. And then as the business changed a little, they created a new brand called Sergio Valente, which anybody in the jean business in the last 20 years would know the brand.
Sergio Valente. So that was Sergio Valente. I remember that name.
Well, it was in the,
That wasn't
in the
a real
late 70s.
designer
Late
then,
70s. Well, you had brands like Jordache, Sergio Valente, and things like that. They went in from the light colored denim business to the dark denim business, and it was a success for a lot of years. So, we got a lot of experience manufacturing goods, and those guys educated me and took me to Hong Kong, to basically, give them feedback what the retailers were saying to us. From a salesman, they were smart enough to get reaction from the salesman who speaks to the retailer every day, who, when we're in the stores, we see the consumer.
Yeah.
And we see what they're buying, what they're putting their hands on and stuff. And they started taking me to Hong Kong, and I got an education. Then I said, one day I got up in the morning, I said, these guys aren't so smart. Why can't I do it for myself?
Right.
And me and two of the other salesmen left the company, and we started our own brand called Corniche. And it lasted for a long, long time.
Corniche, it's called.
Corniche, like the Rolls Royce,
Corniche, yeah, okay, yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And in those days, we went partners with the same people they were partners with because the Chinese people that were backing them didn't want us to leave. We were the sales force. So they supported us and made the product for us, and we created a brand, Corniche.
It's all about the top line, right?
Yeah, in those days, there were a lot of people to sell. The business today is totally, totally different.
What do you mean by that?
Well, very few little mom and pop stores around today like it used to be. And dealing a lot of the stores, if I started mentioning the names, you said your birthday was today, you're 25 years old.
25, yep.
If I mention stores like Ben Hill, you don't even know it existed. They had about 50 stores. They were based out of New York. No Name stores, which was in every mall across the country.
Oh, No Name.
No Name stores. They were a junior chain, and they were in all the malls. They're not around today. We sold people like Sid's Pants. That was locally owned. In fact, I grew up with the people that owned it. We came from the same neighborhood. And those stores totally don't exist today. And then we sold stores like Merry Go Round. I mean, they were huge. I mean, they had stores, all over the country. And they don't exist today. So all the guys that we used to sell, they just don't exist today.
Yeah, retail's changing big time.
Retail is changing big time. I don't know how you compete with the big guys.
No, what I'm realizing now, like I go to like Johnson & Murphy, Bonobos, Lululemon, and they don't have clothing in their stores. You have to just order it online. So you're going to stores.
Well,
and
that
you're leaving
I think
with
that's
no
just
clothes,
supply chain
and
now.
it's just shipping to you.
Yeah, Lululemon created a monster. Okay, I mean, they opened up, nobody knew. They had a cute name, Lululemon. And obviously it attracted the consumer, and they were into this active yoga, leisure, athleisure, whatever you want to call it. They got into the business very, very early. I was already in the activewear business, but obviously, we had a small brand called For You. And it did well for a while, but these guys opened up retail stores, and they market themselves very well. Word
They're
of
the
mouth.
Apple. They're the Apple of.
Yeah,
their marketing is
you gotta
incredible.
give them, anybody that puts their money where their mouth is, you got to give them a lot of credit.
Of course. I mean, they have the money for the marketing because their margins are massive.
They
Clothing
really
margins are massive, aren't they, Howie?
Yeah, I don't really know the numbers. I believe they're a public company today. Give them credit. A lot of people, everybody wants to knock them off and knock them out of the box. You know what? Give them credit.
And now they're going to the shoe business now, too.
Well, they could probably license their name for any products they want, but, I find that once you start expanding your business to areas that you really don't know, you start tearing down your own business.
Do you ever notice that with restaurants? Restaurants expand.
Yeah,
and they
you have
take
a
over the
successful
next-
restaurant,
yeah.
or you have a successful
And then
brand.
the food's never
you
the
start,
same. It's the
you
truth.
start licensing your name out there. You oversaturate the brand, and too many people start carrying the product, and you lose some of your strength, and the brand goes down. So I mean, from being in the business more than 40 years, you look at guys like that. You got to give them all the credit in the world.
So your company, Kanish, do you guys go after like athletes and celebrities, or do they come to you?
In those days, the marketing was in magazine type of thing, word of mouth. Okay, Jordache in the early days did a commercial on TV. A guy dancing.
I was trying to remember that.
Guy dancing in a disco. If they spent $500 to make the video, they spent a lot.
Like the Steve Madden one too, with the big heads.
Okay, and then as the business evolved, and then the urban business got strong for a bunch of years, and those guys started advertising in urban type magazines. Okay, now that business dried up a little bit today. Today, it's a luxury brand business. Those brands, you're selling denim jeans, $150, $175, $200, $250, $300.
I was going to ask you that, Howie. What is there a big difference between denim?
You know what? The answer to that is, again, marketing and positioning in the stores. If you're in Bloomingdale's and Neiman Marcus and Saks Fifth Avenue and better retail stores, you become a so-called status type brand. And they created a niche for themselves. So everybody started to follow that business. Guys like Diesel and Replay, in the early days, those were the higher end jeans. We were selling French Start jeans for $9.75.
Is Diesel high end now for jeans?
They're
Yeah,
still in
I think
business, and I mean, I've been in the business since 1974 or 1975, and Diesel's still around.
'Cause I know the
think
most
they are.
expensive ones that I've
No, they're
seen.
definitely around. They're in
Mike
the
and Mary.
stores.
Was it Mike and Mary jeans? For like $5,000 a pair.
Well, that's like, listen, the same thing with handbags, right? Leather is leather. It's the design and the name you're paying, but there's really no difference in the way they make the denim, or they're.
You know what?
Maybe
There are different qualities of denim, but you know what? For a jean to be $200 or $300 retail, I mean, I don't want to blow any manufacturers out of the water, but let's be realistic, okay? I mean, it's a marketing ploy. Do they make a nice product? They make a nice product.
Maybe the cut is a little bit better, or fits you better.
Yeah,
like
you know what? Their quality is okay. I mean, they market themselves well. Today, a lot of them have their own retail stores. I think Diesel still has some of their own retail stores. AG has their own retail stores. So. They market themselves really well, and as long as the consumer is willing to pay the prices are going to continue to rise and rise and rise until the consumer says no.
No, yeah,
Okay.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
And will that ever be?
Times like this are tricky because now people, a lot of people aren't making what they used to make financially, so people watch their dollars. People don't shop as often as they used to shop. Okay, the online business has taken a big part of the brick and mortar stores business. Okay, but you know what? Those are the products that are in the store.
As a woman, is it uncomfortable to change into something at the store?
No, I mean, I don't particularly like it. I always like to bring it home.
To bring it home or
I
get
do.
it to your house.
But yeah, but that could be my age. Also, because your sister, her and her friends would love to go to the store and try on there, and yeah, they make a day of it. I guess when I was younger, I did. I don't have the time or the patience anymore.
But if you go back quite a few years, there was no such thing as them shipping it to your house.
They never did.
Okay, so you either went to a retail store, either an independent retailer in your neighborhood, okay, or you went to a local mall, and you wanted to try something on. They had dressing rooms. Okay, so today, you could buy it online. You don't like the way it fits. You don't like the way it looks. You put it back in a bag or a box. So you send it back.
Sent it. Do you remember JM Town in Caldwell?
No,
See,
I'm not really a Jersey guy. I grew up in Brooklyn. Okay.
Brownsville.
Well, I was born and raised in Brownsville, Brooklyn, and then as I got a little older, like 11, 12 years old, my parents moved to the other side of in those days it was Bethel Hospital. Today it's Brookdale Hospital, because the milk company donated some ridiculous amount of money. So my parents moved on the opposite side of so-called Linden Boulevard, and that was called East Flatbush. Okay, so we moved to East Flatbush, and that's where I grew. I grew up from around 11 years old till I decided to move out of my parents' house, get my own apartment, get married, and ended up moving to Fort Lee, New Jersey.
How come Fort Lee?
You know what? Friends of mine told me it was perfect for my lifestyle. It was on the water, okay? It's on the other side of and you look into the city, you get great views from the apartments. And me and my wife, before we got married, we bought a condo a year before we got married, and we moved into Winston Towers. And we lived there for about 7 or 8 years, and then we decided we wanted to have a baby. We had a baby, and my wife wanted to move into a house. So we looked all over. We looked in Marlboro, New Jersey, and we ended up looking in Livingston, New Jersey, and we bought a house. So I became a Jersey guy in,
Nice.
1978, 79. I've been here ever since.
That's awesome. So,
Did you ever go back to Brooklyn?
I go back, I went back, I played a lot of ball when I was a kid, okay? So a couple of years ago, we went back to the Brownsville Boys Club, which is in Brooklyn, a group of guys that I played ball with in high school. We all played basketball at the Brownsville Boys Club, so we all went back there. Okay, but I don't go back often. I don't have that many friends that live in Brooklyn anymore. My parents aren't there anymore. But I've gone back a couple of times. I've taken my kids, and they look at me like, "You really lived there?"
Really?
I mean, back in those days, Howie could tell you, Brownsville was no joke.
No, but you know what? It was. If I had to do it all over again, it was a great way to grow up.
Yeah.
I mean, people played in the street. We played ball.
Did you
had
have a
nothing to do. You went to the schoolyard, and there was always people in the schoolyard. And when you finished playing ball, then we concentrated on, are there any pretty girls around? We go to the candy store and
Best
hang out
way
at the
to grow up.
So I grew up that way. My kids didn't basically grow up that way. My kids grew up, they want to play ball, you got to take them in a car and sign them up to join the Little League or softball league or whatever you want to do. But look, I got 3 great kids. I got 3 beautiful grandchildren. And
Life's good.
And they lived a great life, but I still look back. I think it's the greatest way to grow up, is the way I grew up. All the houses were attached to each other.
Did you have a stoop?
My parents lived upstairs above a store.
Okay.
It was like a 2-family house.
So great.
And,
I love it.
And that's how we grew up. So when
That's awesome.
I look back, I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And then when we moved to the other side of, out of Brownsville, it was the same thing. It was a local neighborhood, 1 or 2 apartment buildings, which we lived in. And there were private homes, but my parents, weren't rich, so we rented. We lived in a 1-bedroom apartment. My parents slept in the living room, and I slept in the bedroom. We had 1 TV that was about this big.
And you wouldn't give it up for anything.
Yeah, and I had to, if I was home on a Sunday night, I had to watch Ed Sullivan or one of those kind of shows, because that's what my parents would watch, Lawrence Welk. I don't even know if people know their names today.
Yeah, but the kids don't get that. Your dad grew up like that. 6 kids, they were all on one floor.
Yeah.
One TV. You know, this father used to shut the AC off at
kids-
night. God for
Kids today are into the internet, their phones, social media. I think it's great. I mean, times change. You know, I used to look at my parents and say, "Mom, Dad, you don't understand." Okay, now that I'm a mom and my wife, you know, my wife and I'm a dad, my wife's a mom, and our kids look at us and go, "Hey, you don't understand."
Yeah.
like he's going to say it to me, like he says it to me, and your kids are going to say it to you. Just
Yeah, but
the
you
way
know,
it is.
it's
a full
understandable.
circle.
Times are different. You know, kids grow
Yeah,
up
but
differently.
not always, I mean, some things are better, but I don't think overall. I think I grew up on a street where we played from if you were 3 years old up to 17. We were all outside.
Yeah,
Played all day.
everything was outside. Everybody in the neighborhood knew everybody. Okay, I mean, I live in a nice area in the town here of Livingston. People live a half a block from me. I don't. If I see them once every 3 years, you know.
It's true though.
You know, I mean, we made friends with a few people in the neighborhood.
Yeah.
You know, but most of our friends from the town are because of our children.
Right, you
I-
meet
You know,
them
they
through the
played.
kids.
They played ball. They
Yeah.
went to school together, and you know, so my daughters became friends with other girls, and then we became friends with the parents, and so on and so forth.
I feel like the only place that's still kind of like that still shows those characteristics is the Jersey Shore. Like you still have people still meet each other, neighbors come out.
Yeah, but you
Depends
know what?
where
If you
you're
go,
at. No, it depends. It depends what area of the shore you're in.
yeah, you
Where
know,
we're at,
we're
we
at-
go to your business
exactly.
is open to everybody on the lagoon.
Yeah, you
right.
don't.
But you know, I think if you go back to the inner cities of New York, the people are still growing up that way. It's a local neighborhood. They
Yeah.
live in, you know, they live in apartments. They, you know, apartment buildings, or they lived in private houses. I mean, some neighborhoods are nicer than other neighborhoods, but those people are still growing up. They're growing up in the streets. It's a different, you know, we live in the suburbs, so pretty much it's not the streets because, you know, it's just what kind of shape am I in? I can't walk 5 miles to go say hello to somebody.
Right.
So you take your car. So it's different. So it's, you know.
The other thing, the internet. Like when we were growing up, like everybody had the same. Nobody had. You didn't know if anybody had more than you, less. You were just happy. Your world was maybe one town over. That was it.
Yeah, you know,
Yeah.
being growing up and being a salesperson, and I appreciate speaking to people. Today, all you do is text everybody.
yeah.
You know what?
Text
Well, I
them
was just
out.
going to ask you that. You think that's how you learned your skills and your
Well,
Because
I
from
think
talking,
I
right?
think to some degrees it puts you in contact with people and the human element, and you know,
reading
to me,
people.
to me, that's the way it should be. Even in business today, everything is through the computer. Everything is, you know, through EDI, which is a computer-generated invoice and a order. Okay, you get payments through the EDI and all that. I personally enjoy speaking to a customer and using our skills, you know, the skills that we have. You know,
I agree.
not to say that people that do business on Zoom calls and things like that aren't successful, but I believe in the human touch. So, you know.
You know,
I agree
Howie,
with
it's
that.
funny. When Christopher was younger, I remember having an argument with my husband at the time because he wanted to ride his bike alone. And I was like, no way. We live in a safe area. And there was a guy sitting at dinner with us. He said, you know, I got to tell you. He said, I grew up in the streets in Nutley. He said, you guys are too overprotective of your kids. He goes, my business partner went to the best schools, Harvard graduate, I think. He says, I wasn't a Harvard graduate. He said, but I'm going to tell you, when I sit across from people, I can make a deal. Not only that, I can read them. Because I've been
Yeah,
on
I
the street, but
think-
I
I
had to
think-
learn, like, that guy's not good. This guy's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
He says, my
agree.
partner can get screwed all the time because he can't read anybody. He says, they need that skill.
I think the human touch plays an important role
Yeah.
of building a relationship. Just like us. I mean, I came here obviously to lose weight, okay? We sort of became friendly.
Yeah,
okay?
absolutely.
We communicated. We enjoyed speaking to each other, and we created a little bit of a friendship. You don't.
Yeah, of
I don't
course.
know that you do that on the internet. I don't
think you do.
I don't know that you do that. You know,
No.
by texting each other. So I think the human touch is worth
Is
worth
needed.
a lot.
Is needed.
And I also think it opens not only kids but people how to communicate with their voices and contact opposed to, you know, typing. Any one of my kids, they could take a nap and they could type and not make a mistake. Okay, I mean,
It's amazing, isn't it?
yeah, so, you know, I think the personal touch, you know, is really
It's
important.
huge.
And I think more and more, less and less people communicate that way.
I think it's getting worse. I see the difference
It is
between
getting
his
worse.
age and even my younger daughter and the kids. They're constantly with their heads down on the phone. Constantly.
Yeah, it's nonstop.
But you know what? It's like anything else. It's a way of life. You know what? It's like people say to me all the time, if you didn't have a phone, what would you do? It's like a GPS. I don't know how I could get from my house to ShopRite in town if I didn't, without a GPS.
Howie, I think of that when I go on a long distance. I'm like, how did we do that before? Then I would remember people would actually say, go to the street, make a right, and you'd have to write down these directions.
Well, you
guys
pulled
have
over on
no
the side of
idea.
the road.
Yeah.
Sir, madam,
Yeah. Where am I
how
going?
do I get to? And they would go
Exactly.
4 blocks, make a right turn. You'll see a red house. Make a left.
Make
there.
a left, yeah.
Okay, and then I remember MapQuest was a big deal. Okay, and every time I would use MapQuest, I'd drive in a car, I'd almost crash because you
you're
have to
looking
read
at
the
it,
thing where
yeah.
you're going.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't understand with me. Sometimes he'll be like, look at the screen. No, I need it to talk to me.
Right.
I'm watching the road. Another generational difference.
I don't know about that. I think that's just a you thing with
No,
the
but-
Apple CarPlay.
Oh, it absolutely is not. Do you like your GPS to talk to you?
Yeah, mine speaks to me.
Could you follow it if it didn't talk, to look down and find...
Well, I would definitely follow it. You'd have to read it. I mean, in my car, it talks to you and you can read it, okay? I mean, the map comes up. But it makes it easier that it talks to you so you don't have to take
So
your eyes off the road.
Yeah.
It definitely talks to you. But I remember, I forget the name of the TV show. The name of the car was Kit, where the car talked to you.
Oh,
Now,
wait a minute.
Hey,
What was
if
that?
I do something wrong in my car, it tells me, oh, you made a wrong turn, or you
Kit.
did this, or you pushed the wrong button. Or, it's amazing.
Wasn't that the
So-
guy from Baywatch?
Yeah, and I think that was the show, but people laughed. Oh, a car speaks to you? Well, now cars speak to you.
Car speaks to you.
Okay, cars tell me, oh, you made a wrong turn. Oh, your door's open, your trunk's open. I mean,
It's crazy now.
and I've been dating the girl on my navigation system now for 15 years. When I hear her voice, I get nervous.
Women
That's
do
so
that,
funny.
right, Howie?
Right? Am I right?
Yeah, women do that.
Can we change gears here real quick?
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
got some questions for Howie.
Go ahead. Shoot.
So, who's the best celebrity you work with?
I work with guys like Kevin Garnett,
Mhm.
okay, and people like that.
KG.
Okay, yeah, Kevin, believe it or not, I met Kevin through a gentleman by the name of Elliot Levine, who was the president of Perry Ellis at one time.
Okay.
And I met him at Jordache, and then he left and started his own thing. And Kevin was a great guy. Kevin had a line called Official Block Family, OBF. So Elliot put a line together with Kevin, and that's when I met Kevin. Kevin was a pleasure. And also I work with Kelly, R. Kelly, okay? I met
Not anymore, but
well, not now, okay, but we were working with R. Kelly. We almost went in business with him, and as a young age, I took my kids to Madison Square Garden to see him, and I took my kids into his dressing room,
Oh,
and we
they must
sat
have loved
like in the
that.
second or third row in Madison Square Garden, and he yelled out in the audience to my man Howie and things like that. My kids were like
that's
fascinated.
awesome.
My kids were fascinated by that. Oh, yeah, and over the years, we met people. We were in the urban business. We had a label called D-Lo, Keep It On the Down Low. So we met people like the Wu-Tang Clan.
So cool.
Yeah, those kind of people. Russell Simmons, okay. All those kind of Puffy, all those guys.
What was
Jay-Z.
Puff like?
Jay-Z. In those days, they were basically, street guys. They were growing up. Damon from FUBU. They were all from Queens, and I got involved with some kids that were into grassroots marketing who introduced us to all those people, and that's how we got into the urban business. And they created a niche for themselves in the urban business.
So is that
Damon
when,
is on Shark Tank. That
Yeah,
guy,
Damon
yeah,
John.
yeah.
is that when Puff was doing the Sean John?
He had the Sean John label. Yeah.
Did he sell that?
I don't know. You know what? I'm really not in touch with the urban, that urban market. I
Lines,
don't
yeah.
know that it's as strong as it was at one time. I mean, those celebrities are still powerful. Jay-Z,
Oh, big time.
even Beyonce. We met Beyonce and the other two ladies that were in there. We met her mother and her father in the early days before she became the Beyonce that we know today. But we met Jay-Z, okay? We made T-shirts for them. So very early in the garment business, I met a lot of those guys until they went into their own business.
Mm-hmm.
And people backed them. And look, they were very successful in that, core denim business. They built a nice niche for themselves.
So for them, like, they obviously market their own brand. Like, how do they go about doing that? Like, it's all about like their following, I guess.
I
or-
just
They
think
have a
they
name.
do it. They do it
Yeah.
through their music. They do it through their music and social media.
Mhm.
Okay, a lot of grassroots marketing. I like today Jay-Z. I mean, I don't know that there's that many people out there, younger generation, that don't know who they are,
Yeah.
or Puffy, or
True.
those kind of guys. So, so they basically, they did it through, it was a grassroots market.
Interesting. Very cool.
They wear something, Chris, of theirs, and it's going to sell out.
Because that's what Damon John was doing with LL Cool J. Just wear the shirt, take a
Well,
picture.
LL Cool J, sponsored them by. It was all grassroots marketing in those days. You give out free samples, and they had young kids running around the streets that knew these people. They're street people. They grew up in the streets. They hung out in the streets, so they were able to get people to wear their products,
Mhm.
take pictures, and then get it in Source magazine and those kind of magazines, and they
So
built.
those days, you had to dial up a number on the magazine and order it.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you know what? I
Oh,
mean,
wow.
but in those
Yeah.
days, there was a tremendous amount of mom and pop stores in the inner cities
So
of
many.
New York. Okay.
Even in Jersey, I mean, we had Evanston's, which is
Well,
a small
if you go
department
into
store.
town, if you go into towns like Irvington and Newark, Market Street. I don't know all the names of the streets, but there was a tremendous amount of retail. Okay, so there was a big vehicle to buy product in those days.
So you think the competition was worse then, or it is now?
I don't know if the competition is worse now. I just think it's tougher for the competition because of what's going on in the last few years with COVID here in America. Retailers are buying very close to the vest. Okay, it's not as easy to get a brand into stores today.
And every celebrity has a brand. If you look at QVC, you see all these celebrities all day long selling their clothing lines.
And even in the business that I'm in today, I mean, I'm basically just a sourcing guy. I mean, I built a sourcing business, so we're making product for other people opposed to making it for ourselves. And a lot of the guys that I do business, they're in the volume, moderate price business.
Mm-hmm.
So they're licensing names that were popular at one time, like Tahari, Ellen Tracy, Adrian Benedetti, okay, Vince Camuto. So I'm manufacturing for guys that own the license for those names, and they're selling to mass merchants. They're selling like TJ Maxx and Burlington and Nordstrom's Rack and those kind of people, and that's where the volume is today.
What's the story with Nordstrom Rack? Is that all stuff that is deformed?
Well,
sort of,
you know,
so to speak,
originally
or-
all these stores like TJ Maxx and Burlington and Ross stores, they were a vehicle for manufacturers to move excess inventory. Because, the retailer, if something didn't sell, they weren't going to buy it from you. So these stores would, buy it at a reduced price, put it out, and like TJ Maxx, what's their logo is brands for less. Okay, so to some degree they save a lot of manufacturers because there's a vehicle to move your inventory.
But like the high end, like Gucci, Louis, if there's a bad cut, it's just thrown away.
Well, no, I don't. I don't believe they throw it away. They have vehicles to move their inventories. I mean, today the outlets all over the country,
Oh, true.
they move. A lot of them have their own stores today. A lot of the stores, in my opinion, they became so big, the outlets, that they manufacture for the
They
outlets.
do. I remember calling Coach one time for your bag. and
I
she
don't
said
know if
make
they would.
just
I don't know
for
if
the
they
outlet.
would. I don't know if they would openly say that's
No,
what
she
they're
did.
doing.
I called for a briefcase for him at the Coach store, and she said they manufacture just for the outlet. I said,
Yeah,
"What's
I
the difference?" She
think-
goes, "You're not going to get the bells and whistles on the
Yeah,
certain
I'm,
item."
I'm, for whatever it's worth, I'm a luxury kind of guy. I mean, but you're always looking for a bargain. So you go to the outlets. I mean, they have Bottega and they have Gucci and they have Tod's.
How
and
are
they
the
have-
prices though? Are they?
I find the last few times that I've gone to the outlets, the prices are up there. They're cheaper than the store, but
Not by much.
yeah, maybe 20%.
It's not a lot.
Sometimes maybe more. There was a time when you could get it, 50% off. I have a friend that's in Europe now, and he's saying, "Oh, it's 20% cheaper there. Plus, you get the VAT tax back 12%."
Interesting. Where
You
do
know.
all these outlets come from, though? Like, this is outlets like a newer term, or like a newer.
I don't know when the outlets.
You know, I'm not sure who owns all these outlets, but I think they're guys that were in the mall business. They've opened up these outlets and have attracted the brands to open stores there
Yeah.
to move their excess inventory and make a profit.
It's actually brilliant.
Because you have people driving
Yeah.
an hour for outlets.
Oh yeah, the
Crazy.
ones.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? There is a value in going there if you find something that you like, and if you know that if you know the price of something,
Yeah.
and you see it in a bodega store for $3,200, and then you see it for $1,200 in an outlet store, you say, "Wow,
Yeah,
it's
because
got
it's
some
a-
value."
The other thing, like when you brought it up, like I'm thinking of Evanston's, our local department store. When we used to go in there to buy jeans, they would have like stacks and stacks. So you wonder if they just put them away for the following year, or they just sat them on the shelf until they sold.
When I was in the business, and I'm going back to 1975, the late 70s, the early 80s. The jean stores, they used to build these wood boxes and pile the jeans up
Yeah.
this high, and they would carry all the brands, and that's how they did business. But that business evaporated. Today it's more of a luxury business. Okay, when I say luxury business, we were selling jeans for $10 wholesale. We were $9.75. We went to $10. The retailer said, "We're not going to buy from you anymore.
Wow.
You raised your price." Okay.
Wow.
Really?
Okay, and today to buy if you want to buy one of those brands that's in the department stores, I don't know that they have a jean in the store that's under $110, up to $300. And even when you go upstairs to the junior department in these department stores, they're carrying the luxury brands. If you want to call them luxury brands,
Yeah.
you want to say Seven Jeans and
Seven. That's the
Oh,
ones
so-
I could. Yeah,
those,
seven.
those kind of brands, and the other guys are in the discount, and the old brands like Adrian Benedetti and them, they're selling licenses, so they're doing it in the mass merchants, and that's a big volume business too.
Yeah. How much would it cost to start up a clothing company today?
When I started my business in the late 70s, early 80s, it really cost us nothing. It cost us,
Sweat equity.
$1,000 to open up a little showroom. We had partners in Hong Kong that made samples for us, and we went on the road and sell. There was no advertising in those days. We went on the road and we knocked on doors, and we knew the retailers because we were selling them previously.
Mhm.
So, if they liked you, they'd say, "Well, we never heard of your brand, but Howie, you've been selling us for years. We'll try it." And we built a brand. We built a brand called Corniche. Okay, but today, it's a whole different ballgame. It's very difficult to do without having a financial backer.
Like,
You
like
know-
$1 million, would you say?
I would say if you really wanna do it right, that's probably a number. I wouldn't say it's an initial investment, but it's got to cost just something around there. You got to hire designers. You got to get a showroom. You got to get
Your
sales.
tech packs?
Well, you got to get tech people to help you put the line together. You gotta finance the inventories today. In the early days, we found partners in Asia that would finance and give us the goods.
How do you find those people? Like,
Well,
it's just word of mouth? And
it's not. Well, I can only tell you the
This
story
guy
that I
knows
know.
the guy.
Marty Heinfling, who started the French Star Jeans and Sergio, was on his way to Hong Kong wanting to go into the jean business, and he was on an airplane. Okay, and there was a Chinese couple sitting next to him, and they got into a conversation, and you sit on a plane for 13, 14 hours, you look at each other, and most people don't speak to each other.
Yeah.
They started speaking, and they asked him, "Why are you going to Hong Kong?" And he said, "I'm looking to go into the denim business." And it turned out this husband and wife owned a company called Taifang Weaving and Dyeing. Okay, which is one of the largest piece good mills in all of Asia in those days, in Hong Kong. And it was the sister of the family that owned it, and the son-in-law. So
How crazy is that?
So he got into the business by accident. He ended up going partners with one of the biggest piece good mills in the country, in the world. And that's how he built it, and they financed his business. But if he had to start that business today and market it and advertise it, It's. I'm not saying you can't do it. I mean, there are people that, take a bag and they design their own line and they run around, and plenty of people doing it today. Not as easy as it used to be.
Yeah.
And there's not that many outlets to sell anymore like you used to sell.
Because Gymshark is the only company recently that I've seen that really blown up in the past couple of years.
Yeah, like you go to stores and all of a sudden a new brand pops up, but the average person's not analyzing who owns the brand or where the brand came from. They see it in a store. Hey, that's nice. I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Gymshark's in stores. They're all online.
There's a lot of people that have big online businesses today.
I like to touch it, feel it. I like to see it.
Well, you know what? I can only tell you the experiences I see through my kids. I see a lot through my kids' visions and ideas. They buy a lot and they return a lot. They buy something, they buy a pair of shoes, they buy 3 sizes or 3 different styles. It comes to the front door. Oh, it doesn't fit so well. I liked it. Now I don't like it. They send it back. So, again, that's it's all intertwined into the prices they charge, returns and all that kind of stuff. But that's the business today. The online business is a large business.
Even the new business of I don't know how new it is. Stitch Fix.
Right.
Did you ever hear that? When
They're very big. They're very big online. There's a bunch of
they're
brands.
Huge. Yeah, you pay like a certain amount per month, and they send you They send you clothes. They'll only charge you for what you keep, and then you send back the rest.
Yeah, what's the other one? Not Fiverr. I signed up for it.
I did?
No, I did.
Oh, I thought you
send
said
like 2 or 3 shirts, 2 or 3 pants every month, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept,
It
but
is an interesting concept.
I don't know what the return consequences are to all of that. How many times they pick something and you like it. I've heard the stories. Oh, it's for the guy that's on the go or the woman that's on the go. That's professional. She works. She doesn't have time to go to a store. Me personally, if I can't try it on and I can't touch it,
you're not buying it.
Yeah, but it's interesting. There are plenty of people doing it.
And even like Untuck It too. That's another company that blew up.
Untuck It.
Huge.
He's a Bosco kid.
Yeah, Don Bosco.
Yeah. Yeah, he's.
What do you think about Untuck It?
I don't really know that much about it, but again, all these online businesses, they're out there today. That who the monster is and who's making the most amount of money.
You think the quality's gone down?
Not necessarily. If you look at, if you just take denim for a whole, okay. No, I don't think the quality has gone down. Prices have gone up, so they make a decent product. I mean. You tell me somebody's wholesaling jeans for $60 or $70 or $80 wholesale, that they're paying $40 or $50 to make it. I would, again, I'm not here to blow anybody's out of the water. I would challenge anybody. I don't care what the price of their jeans are. It doesn't cost $80 to make a pair of denim.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. But again, it's not a question of what it costs. It's a question of they create brands and they're entitled. If they market it and build it, they're entitled to. You give them credit.
Yeah,
tough business, apparel and clothing, and
it's become a tougher business. Inventory has become a problem with retailers. Returning stuff and all that. But
that's what they say is the biggest problem. Like if you go on QVC or HSN. You have to have huge inventory, and you may get a ton of returns.
From a business standpoint, my opinion is, if I was doing it, and again, I don't have a brand today, but if I was doing it, I would make a deal with them. This is the deal. We're going in. Mm-hmm. This is it. I'm giving you this is the price. You own the goods. This is it. In other words, don't try to squeeze every penny out of it. Try to make a deal with them that they buy the goods, give them enough margin so when they mark the goods down, they could dissolve the goods. Because when you get them back, you got to repackage it in a lot of cases. It comes back without the hang tags on it. It comes back without the labels on it. Yeah. So, again, everybody has a different philosophy. But again, QVC, they do a lot of business.
They crush it.
Would you do it all over again?
Yeah, why not? Why not? You know what?
Would you pick another industry or just?
I didn't really pick the industry. I got pushed into it. Friends of mine. I didn't know what I really wanted to do. I really wanted to be a ball player. I mean, I was a fairly decent athlete. Public school, junior high school,
Baseball?
Yeah, I played a lot of baseball. I played in the parade ground league. So, I didn't play in the local little league. We traveled. In those days, you had to be fairly good to even, make one of those teams. Today, every town has a traveling team.
Every team.
In those days, it was a little different, Yeah, those were the days. I played ball in the parade grounds, Lincoln Terrace Park, for the Youth Service League. So it was fun, Then I watched my kids play ball. One of my kids was played in college, was very good in high school. All three of my kids played ball in, junior high school and high school, but one went into college and played at Rutgers. She was an All-American in soccer and softball. Today she coaches Irvington girls high school softball, and she's the assistant girls high school soccer coach. So she's still involved in sports, but she was a really good athlete. But again, all my kids played ball in Livingston.
Is that the same daughter that gave out all the clothes at that practice?
Yeah,
that was it.
That's Jenna. Yeah.
You hear about Howie's blowout sale at the softball field?
Yeah, we gave them vests and things like this, and
Howie took home $30,000.
And they were appreciative. These kids, to get something of value, and she does a good job, and she's dedicated to them. She's not only a coach to them; she tries to, be a parent to a lot of them.
Yeah. I know I met two of your girls. They're great people.
A lot of these young girls that play for her respect her.
Good.
She tries to help them get into other, school, and try to guide them in the right direction. Okay.
That's awesome.
So in fact, I was at a game the other day. So I go to as many games. I don't think I missed any of my kids' games, but my middle daughter Jenna, played so many games because she played traveling soccer and then she played in college, and so I traveled all over to watch her play ball. So my kids look back and they go, "Wow, my dad was great. He went to all the games. He took me." And my wife too. You have to pack them up, get them in a car, bring them to the game.
Oh yeah, it's not easy.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And when you go into the inner cities, these kids that play in like Irvington, no disrespect to them, the first time they ever play any organized sports is when they get to junior high school or high school. So not like in the suburbs. My kids started playing t-ball when they were 4 and 5 years, 4 and 5 years old, and then went into the little league, and then they played in the public school and then the junior high school. And if they excelled at any of those levels, there were coaches that had traveling teams. So the kids get an opportunity to have an experience that these kids, their first experiences when they get to high school.
That's interesting.
What do they call you? Do they know that you're Jenna's father?
What do they call me? They call me, well, they used to call her White Chocolate. Now I'm just White Chocolate's dad.
How cute is that?
Now they call me Jenna's dad.
They must love to see you, when you come.
Well, they definitely know who I am because, I go to the games, okay? And my wife goes to a lot of the games. We go to games because we're not only supporting the kids she coaches, we're still supporting our daughter.
Right.
Yeah, of course.
Right. Once you have the sports in you, you're not.
I grew up playing ball every day. I was in the schoolyard at 9 o'clock in the morning. We didn't go home until it was dark. Yeah. Then we just turned our hats around, and then it was, okay, where were all the girls to hang out with, and go to the candy store.
Howie.
We played ball. We had nothing else on our mind. Even in the winter when it would snow, kids would go to the schoolyard. We played rough tackle in the snow. We didn't have helmets or shoulder pads. We just played in this. We played in the snow.
Now parents would freak out, right?
Oh,
they would freak out. You can't do it.
I find today a lot of people don't even want their kids to play contact sports. They're afraid they're going to get concussions.
CT.
When I played in school, you got a concussion.
You didn't know.
They put you back in the game.
I know it's. Well, we're a baseball and football family, so I understand Mom's concerns, but it saddens me because I think they're having a harder time to to have the kids come out for certain sports. And I think sports teach you so much.
I think it's great for these kids to get out. I think the
Camaraderie,
competition.
teamwork.
I think the competition's good. I think somebody else telling them what to do, opposed to their parents telling them what to do.
Good, yeah.
You become friends with people. My daughter's friends with people she would never know ever in her life if she didn't play ball.
Right.
She's friends with girls that she played ball with in high school and in college, and then she played, traveling. Okay. She met coaches all over the state of New Jersey. She played for Rutgers Newark. So she played against William Patterson and Montclair State and all those kind of schools. So she met people, and then she played competitive travel when she was in college. Okay, I mean those leagues were really, those coaches came after all the college players that were good. So that was really competitive. So she made a lot of friends, and she's still friends with a lot of them.
Yeah, sports are great for that.
Oh, I think so too. I think so too. It's just that I don't know. I have a theory about the whole concussion thing. I mean,
what's your theory?
I think that sometimes the helmets are too tight.
Well,
I
whatever the
do.
reason is, but I just think parents today just, I don't want my kid to play football. I don't, you're not going to get a concussion playing baseball, and unless,
Yeah, I've seen it.
unless-
Getting hit with a baseball.
Well,
You could.
yeah, but
Colliding.
playing football,
Yeah, yeah.
let's face reality. That's a
Yeah.
contact
Yeah.
sport. When I played in high school, okay, and a little bit in college, I mean that's a contact sport. You're making contact pretty much on every
play.
Yeah.
On every play. Competitive soccer, they're making contact a lot. Maybe not hitting each other in the head, but
too.
I
but
can't even believe when they hit the ball with the head.
yeah,
It hurts.
Is your theory with the spinning of the helmet?
Well, no. When we were growing up, the boys would run, and the helmet would kind of move.
'Cause
And
I've
I'm
heard that
sure,
theory
but
before.
people say that there were concussions back then too, and you
There
didn't know
definitely
it.
were.
But
There definitely
I've seen
were,
kids
but,
throw up on the field, which I don't ever remember seeing as a kid. And I think think about it. There's no give. I think sometimes the helmets are so it's like hitting a
There's
brick
more than
wall.
give.
I don't know.
I don't think
I don't know why.
You go back to
Kids
when
are
I
bigger,
played ball.
stronger.
Guys that I knew that played.
There was no helmets.
Well, no,
I'm
we
joking.
had helmets, but my brother's like 13 years older than me. When he played in high school, they didn't have face masks.
Yeah.
They had helmets, but they didn't have face masks. Then when I played, we had we started 1 bar, 2 bars,
Yeah.
but I don't know that concussions were if you got hit in the head or you were dizzy, you sat out for 2 plays, and if you were a good player, the coach, are you ready to go back in the game yet? And you'd say, yeah, I want to
Yeah.
play. I just think today, I mean, they're trying to correct it. I mean, but I just think the guys today, they're so big, they're so strong, and
They're
so
so-
fast. A lot of these guys, I mean, they definitely get hurt.
I mean, I've heard of guys talking about just taking the face mask off again because you're not going to lose your
Why?
head. Think about it.
I don't know. A lot of people, a lot of dentists will be happy, and a lot of plastic
I was
surgeons.
going to say, can you imagine that? How can that be? That's crazy.
I don't see where taking a face mask off is going to protect even in college today, this big time college guys. I mean, these guys are big, they're strong,
They're hitting, so it's like a car accident.
You know what? It's a competitive game, and if you want to be a good ball player and you want to be competitive, you got to play the game right.
100%.
Unless you're that good that you can run through the line and nobody touches you. Okay, like
Not many.
But it's a physical game, and it's a chance you take. But
I don't know how they do it. I
If
can
you had
never.
little kids again, would you let them play?
I probably wouldn't have let you start so soon.
yeah,
Because I think football is a game that you can pick up later in life. It's not like baseball. You can't pick up baseball in high school and start playing and be a good hitter.
yeah, I
and-
think
I think that's
I
more
agree
of a
with that.
skill that you have to build with baseball. I think football you can join in high school and be okay. Look at Will. Look at Nikolai's
Yeah, look at Will.
roommate.
Yeah.
Look at Will.
But you know what? If you start them too late, they lose a lot. You don't have to play so many contact sports at a young age. But I think getting them involved really early, they learn the simple things about the game.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think my
Where to
both
stand.
sons.
Like I made a comment earlier. Like my daughter gets these kids at high school level, and they just don't understand a simple game like baseball.
You have to
you know,
go
they
back.
don't
Yeah.
understand the fundamentals of making a double play or bunting or
Yeah.
you know, you got to keep your back foot back or whatever. Okay, so I think you know, starting really early is a good thing for these kids.
I agree. Let me see if the cameras are good.
You know, I think you know, I think it was great for my kids. Okay, they all played. You know, in middle school, high school. One went on to play in college, but you know, when my kids look back, they loved it. You know?
Yeah, the boys started early.
Yeah.
I often think I wish I counted how many games I sat through.
I think
Like,
more
that would've
kids.
been a
I
fun
think
thing.
more kids.
Thousands.
Thousands.
I think more kids should play sports. You know, fortunately, the inner city they don't play golf. They don't play a lot of tennis. Okay, I mean, you know, when I was a kid, who played golf? Yeah, you know, in those days, I mean, I don't know. I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. I don't know that there were any golf courses. Okay.
I don't think anybody, me growing up, I never heard of anyone really playing golf.
Okay. Now there was, you know, as I got a little older and I got in high school, we started meeting girls and people from other neighborhoods. There was a private tennis club, you know. So
Oh, yeah.
you know, so you know, there were people that played tennis in those days. But where I grew up in my neighborhood, you know, if one kid played tennis, that was a lot. But every kid played
There's
punch
no
ball,
way.
stick ball, softball, basketball, punch ball.
I love
Did
it.
you ever
Yeah.
come across Tyson in Brownsville?
Mike Tyson?
Yeah.
No, I met Mike Tyson in the garment business. Okay, you know, he used to come in. You know, all these celebrities come in. They want to wear your brand. You know, so again, it's grassroots marketing. You give away free
What was
clothes.
it like meeting him?
Yeah, again, he's an interesting guy. You know, it
Yeah.
depends how you meet these guys.
Yeah.
You know, when we met him, he's a friendly guy. You know, he's a nice guy, and you're in awe of meeting him because the guy's one of the best fighters in the world. Okay, you know, and even today, I mean, you know, he's come back a lot. You know,
Big time.
as a person, and you know, you feel good about it. You know.
Yeah, he's made a 180 turnaround.
He seems like a really nice
He's all
guy.
over the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? And a lot of
Seems
these,
like he's
a lot of
matured.
these kids, they get taken advantage of. You know, I mean, you know, these guys get a hold of them at a young age, and they
Well,
market them.
Cuss was the best for him.
You know,
That wife that he married, she wasn't so good, right? Remember that?
I don't know.
woman,
I
she
forget her
set
name,
him
but
up-
they lived there. They bought a house in Mendham. Okay, I forget what her name is, and they got divorced early. But again, you know what?
But the whole story though seemed like she was dragging him through the mud. Just felt bad
Yeah,
for him.
you know, you never know what the real story is.
No, you
know?
you don't.
When the lights go out and the doors are closed, nobody
Yeah,
knows
nobody
what
knows.
goes on.
Yeah.
You know, goes on. But
True.
look, you know, they're celebrities. They go through a lot. You know what? They can't go anywhere without people bothering them.
I mean, he
You
was
know?
becoming on top, what, age 18, 19, 20, 21?
You know what? You give them that kind of money, even you know, you're not a celebrity. When you come across that money, it opens up
Many
Oh.
doors.
a whole new world. You know,
Yeah.
and you know, these kids are coming out of the inner city, and all of a sudden he's worth $100, and then he's worth $1,000, and then he's worth $10,000, then he's worth $10 million, then he's worth $20 million. Okay,
and
some
then
of
you
these
have every
guys fight
bottom
today.
feeder.
Some of these
coming after
guys
you.
fight today. They make 50, 60, 70 million dollars from a fight. Okay, you know, these basketball players, baseball players. I mean,
Baseball
I
money's
was laughing the
insane.
other day. I'm not a Yankee fan. I'm a Met fan. But Judge turned down what 30 something million a year because he wants 35 million in 9 years opposed to 30 million.
And he's how old?
I think Judge is in his. I think he's 30 something.
So it's 9 years. I don't. He didn't get the contract, did
No,
he?
but still, I mean, the contract is 30 some odd $million a year plus the guy plays in New York. The amount of endorsements that he's going to get.
But so he wanted 30 million for 9. I don't know if you
Well,
bet
he
9.
wanted more than 30 million. I think that, you know, I could be wrong, but I think they offered him 30 million or
Something like that.
32
and
million.
he's 29.
And he wanted 35 million, and he wanted 9 years, and they only want to give him 7 years or 6 years.
9 years is a lot for a 29-year-old.
You know,
I
and he
don't
wanted
think that's
to
a
be the
good deal.
highest paid guy. You know, listen, you know what? If he doesn't have a good year this year, that 30 million will go to 15 or 18 million, which isn't so
100%.
bad if you make 18
No.
million.
That's a gamble, though. He should take it. 7 years.
Well, you know what? A lot of these guys, they just think they gamble. Okay, I think some of them get bad advice from their agents. Okay, I mean,
It's not like he's 24 and he wants a 9-year contract. He's 29.
Mm-hmm.
Could be 38 years old. That's kind of, that's a big number in baseball,
You just
isn't
never
it?
know. You never know.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I don't go for that. I would say no.
But the baseball money's insane, though.
The baseball players, the guys that don't get paid the most, the guys like these hockey players, and I think they're great. They're also great athletes.
Yeah.
Okay, but you look at these guys that play golf. I don't know, are any of them really great athletes? I'm not so sure that a lot of these guys, and they might be. Don't get me
No,
wrong.
I know what you mean.
Okay, but I don't know if a lot of these guys are athletes. If you want to play baseball,
The pro golfers?
Huh?
The pro?
Yeah, I don't know that a lot of them are athletes.
Yeah,
they could be. I mean,
They're
they
not
could.
going to run,
Well, I never hear. You hear once in a while. Oh, he played baseball in college, or he
Yeah.
played. You never hear a lot of them. Oh, the guy could have played for the Yankees, or he could have played
Right.
for the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
That's true.
Okay, but they might. Some of them might be. But you know what?
Because you see, like, a lot of the, Aaron Rodgers, a lot, Steph Curry, they all play golf very, very well. Tom Brady.
Yeah, but
They
that's different. They're athletes who can play golf.
Yeah, but they
Not that
play.
they're golf players who are
They're
athletes.
great athletes that play golf now because that's a vacation game for them.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, and it's and
You know, rarely will you see a
yeah,
golfer
but
be able
those
to play
guys,
one of their games.
those guys are athletes
Yes.
and want to play golf.
Yeah.
Okay, it's golf's a hobby to them. You know
Yeah.
what? Okay, so
You play golf?
no, I don't. I tried it a few times. Okay, I
No
never
good.
really got into it. That much. But when I did, I went out. I got the right pair of shoes and the right bag and the right golf
sure.
clubs, and then I went out and played golf and said,
Once.
"Yeah,
not
I
really
went
for
out and
me.
said, how come I could throw a football 60 yards in a year?
Yeah.
I could throw a football 20 yards through a tire. I could run. I could score a touchdown. I could hit a home run, and I can't hit a golf ball straight."
I can't, no, the golf for me is no good.
Yeah.
That was like me in tennis. Lee and I went to the tennis shop. I looked like Roger Federer walking on that
Yeah.
court. That wasn't that good.
No, but you know what? Also, if you grew up in the inner cities, there weren't a lot of opportunities to go play in a private golf course and stuff.
No.
When I did play, like once I met people like in Livingston and through business, we all of a sudden you're getting invited to go play in country
Golf
clubs.
stroll.
Yeah, you want to go. Yeah,
private clubs. So you know what? You want to be dressed properly. You want to look proper. And so on and so forth. But for some reason it never really interested me. I always
Yeah.
liked the contact side of sports,
yeah.
like basketball, football, baseball. To
Yeah.
me, that's what I enjoyed. But today,
I'll
I don't know.
stop.
I don't know that I wouldn't tell my kid to play college. It's golf in college and high school.
Good way to get a
It's a
scholarship.
good way to get a scholarship. Same thing with tennis.
Tennis is good. Lacrosse is up
Lacrosse
there.
is saturated now.
A lot of these sports that weren't important years and years and years ago, but a lot of big time colleges for years had golf programs and tennis programs and all that.
Yeah. Interesting.
No, it's all good stuff. Howie, this is a blast.
No, hey, look, it's my
I
pleasure.
love having Howie here.
Howie's the best.
we should do more of these with Howie.
We should.
We got to think of the title.
Thursdays with Howie.
Thursdays with Howie, Fridays with Phil.
Yeah, you know what? We should. We discussed this once before. We should figure out how to attract what market we want to go after, and somehow, with all this online,
Mumbo jumbo.
how to attract and draw people in that we could do business with.
For the tech packs.
It's not only tech packs. There are people that are dying to find out. Like you asked me a question earlier. How did you figure out how to go to Hong Kong or China
Yeah.
to source product? Well, you know what? Because of my environment that I grew up in and got started with, it's not as complicated. Okay, you just have to have the will to want to do it and find a way to do it.
Yeah.
And I tell anybody that wants to talk to me, okay, and not run away from me, okay, do it when you're young. You could fail when you're young,
Yeah.
Right.
okay.
Later
Well,
on.
later on you have a family, okay. You got to pay your car bills, the insurance.
you have
gotta
more
send your kids to
responsibility.
school. You can't gamble as much. Well, you can, but it's risky. So I say, look, if you have an ambition to do it, do it. There's nothing wrong with failing.
And don't be afraid. Just
Well, there's nothing wrong with failing because you know what?
I think you learned so much
Your
from failing.
percentage, you're 1/2 of 1% if you're willing to try.
You gotta
The
be
other
right just
99,
once.
the other 99.5%, they're either too afraid or just don't have the drive to do it.
Yeah, that's
You gotta
true.
be right once.
You know, I come from I wouldn't say a well-to-do family. My father was a truck driver, the greatest guy in the world. My mother worked at A&S behind the counter.
Mm-hmm.
She cooked, she cleaned, she took the bus, walked, okay? So what did I have to lose to try to go into business, okay? And I never knew I was poor. I had sneakers, I had a T-shirt, I had a pair of jeans. I never knew I was
Yeah.
poor until we started meeting people from other neighborhoods. Their parents had cars.
Right, right. There was difference, right?
And
That's
they went
what
and
I
they went on vacation.
Yeah.
Right, vacation. What's that?
Okay,
Yeah.
people. I'll never forget this as long as I live. My oldest daughter, Morgan. We moved to Livingston, so all of a sudden, all the kids she grew up with, where do they go in the summer? Summer camp.
Yeah.
Okay, so we find out the name of the camp. We call up, and they come to the house. A guy comes to our house, and we open the door, and he comes in, and he's got a video. In those days, you had a VHS, and the guy sits down with me, and he says to me, "Well, where did you go to camp?" I grew up, where you went to camp? I went to Camp Curb. You went out three steps
steps,
outside
Camp
your house, your
Curb.
father kicked you in the ass, and you were in the
You were-
street.
yeah, and you
so
played.
that's what I said to the guy. I went to Camp Curb. He goes, "Where is that?" And that's what I said to him. 3 steps from the front of my door.
Yeah.
Just because I live in a nice house in Livingston and I have a garage, you don't even know what cars are in the garage. Okay, he assumed that I went to summer camp.
Yeah.
Right.
That's funny.
So what did you think of that whole concept of your daughter going to camp?
I think it was great. You know what?
I think so too. I think,
Listen. It's to me, it's a luxury. It's a luxury that I was able to afford my kids. Okay, I'm not a rich guy. I work every day. I mean, I'm 73 years old. I'm still hustling
bless you,
to
not
make a
lucky.
living. Okay, I'm still standing. Okay, my kids all have master's degrees. They're all married now. I have grandchildren. So you know what? A good friend of mine said to me recently. I was saying something to him. He says, "You did your job. You did a good job.
Yeah.
You put a roof over the head of your children.
you
You
bet
sent them to school. You sent them to college.
Yep.
They got married. They have families. They're all working. They're happy. You did your job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Regardless if you sent your kid to Harvard or you sent your kid to a community college, you did a good job."
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think as parents you never realize
Well, you
that.
know what? I had the luxury of being able to afford little things. I mean, like I said, I wasn't rich, but somehow we were able to send our kids to camp. We were able to sign them up for the Little League. I remember when I grew up in Brooklyn, kids didn't join the Little League because you had to come up with $7 or $8 to get a T-shirt and a hat, and parents didn't have the money. It sounds crazy now. You say you want to join the Little League in Livingston. I don't know what it costs today, but I'm sure it's
$1,000.
no. I don't know what it
No,
costs
it's probably
today,
a
but
few hundred for
Yeah.
the town. But if you want to travel now, those can be like $1,500.
yeah. But when I grew up, I didn't play in the Little Leagues. Okay, I was fortunate. I was a fairly decent athlete, so I played in travel leagues, even though they were. You had to be seen by somebody or recommended by your coach in middle school or high school. But I remember kids in my neighborhood couldn't join the Little League because their parents didn't have $7 or $8. And
Yeah.
I'm going back to the 50s and the 60s.
Yeah, that's. I mean, it's a lot. When you think
You
about
also
it.
had to buy your kid a baseball glove.
What did they say? Each kid costs
Cleats,
about $1 million.
bats.
Cleats, bats.
Well, today,
The kids come home and they want $350 bats, $400 bats.
my daughter teaches in Irvington. They don't support these kids like they get supported in these towns.
Yeah.
In fact, I'll bring the article in. They just the town paper wrote a big article about my daughter.
Oh,
How
bring
she
it in.
grew up in a town and she played ball in the town and now she's coaching in her. I'll bring the article in.
Yeah, I'd
Yeah,
love to read
Really
it.
nice article, and she's dedicated to these kids. I always say to her, why wouldn't you want to coach like at Livingston? She's still French with Coach Daly.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, when they wrote the article, he read the article in the paper, and she made a statement that he motivated her to be a good athlete. So he called her and said, "You made my day."
Oh,
But she sees him at the coaches meeting because he's a high
Yeah.
school coach. She's a high school coach.
Mm-hmm.
He's coaching, I think, Livingston this year is 4th in the state.
Really?
I think the girls softball team is 4th in the state.
Marina was saying that too last year. That they were very good.
yeah.
Livingston usually has a good program. Even when my daughter played, Jenna, my middle daughter, She played basketball, softball, and soccer in high school. My other kids played softball and soccer. Okay, my oldest daughter, I think she played soccer. But they all played. We got them out. We got them out. At least go out and try.
You gotta play all sports. Play it all.
No. Me personally, I think it's great.
Yeah, I agree.
Get them out there. It's fresh air. They're gonna play with kids that they would never get to know again if they move on.
That's true, because you meet a lot of people that you wouldn't meet,
Look
at
at
a
you playing
restaurant.
nationals and stuff. You
Oh,
met so many
and
kids.
I'm still close to those guys today.
Exactly. It's amazing.
I think my daughter, other than about a handful of kids that she grew up with in Livingston, that she's still friends with a lot of the girls she grew up with in Livingston, but most of those kids she did play ball with, except for maybe one or two of them.
Mm-hmm.
But she's also got a large circle of friends that she met from playing in college and traveling sports.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's friends with, with these kids. So, look, sports to me is healthy.
Very healthy, in my opinion, as well.
You
know where I stand on that.
You look at the Asians. They make their kids study and play the violin and do all these things. Okay, but you got to, besides being educated and smart and being able to play a violin, how about going out and getting punched in the head once in a while?
Right.
No, I'm being honest. How about getting knocked down once in a while and dusting yourself off?
I agree. I completely agree.
Go digging deep down when you have no more energy to play anymore. And
Yeah, I played a lot of competitive sports. Okay, so what you just said, getting knocked down and getting back up, and being competitive, wanting to win, that drive, I think that helped me in life. Okay,
I think it does.
Helped me in business. You know what? There were plenty of times in business when I could have said, you know what, I'm going home tonight. I'm not coming back tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, but you do. You pull out. You find that strength, that inner strength, and I think football teaches you how to bring that out.
I still have the drive. Okay, I don't know if the opportunities are as large for me anymore based on my age and stuff, but I'm still out there hustling.
You're just getting started.
Howie, don't sell yourself short.
I'm starting on the next 70 years now.
That's right, Howie.
I'm gonna count on a line. Jeans for guys over 80.
But you know what? Hey, listen. There's a niche market all the time.
You know what?
Instead of calling the
there should be
9/7,
there should be a good market for guys. Guys that get into their late 30s, 40s, 50s. Your body starts expanding for whatever reasons.
Then you got to call my mom.
Yeah. Call Howie or call me.
I played ball until I was in my 40s, but then after that, okay, it's like, now. I'll never forget, I went to a practice with my daughter, and, I went into the goal, and these kids, and if you think these girls can't kick a soccer ball 100 miles an hour, you're mistaken. So, in my mind, I'm a fairly good athlete, right? So I'm going to go in the net, kick the ball. They kick the ball, and the ball goes right between the two hands, and boom, right in my face. Okay, and now, I'll try to hit the ball, but you don't realize it's your eyesight.
Your eyesight too.
Obviously
it's like a knuckleball too, right? Sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's you don't see as well. You don't see the ball as well, so you can't make contact like you used to make contact. I mean, when you're young, you don't worry about your eyesight. You don't worry about your hand coordination.
It's amazing, right? Our brain doesn't change, but our bodies do.
No, absolutely.
We think we have
my brain tells me I'm still a child.
Right, exactly. But then when you go to try to do something, you get smacked right in the face.
When you try to run or you try to play ball anymore, like I kid around, I have a basket in front of the house. I could go out and I could still shoot the ball fairly well, right?
Yeah.
But can I get into a basketball game and run with these kids in high school for 45 minutes up and down? And these kids are, first of all, they're young. They got
stay on ideal. Howie, I'll get you running.
They have lung capacity.
That's true too.
So I try to stay as young as I can for as long as I can, and it is what it is.
Imagine Howie walking up there like, oh, we'll go block this and that, and then bang.
No, but I meet people like, we went to, I was with my daughter one day. We went to Montclair to like one of these, markets that you go, you buy apples and all. Some guy goes, are you Howie Weiss? So I go, last time I checked. He goes, you were my idol.
Really?
So I said, I was your idol. He says, you went to Tilden, right? You were the captain of the football team, right?
Oh my God.
I
Wow.
said, yeah. He said, you were my idol. I watched you every Saturday for 3 years. I wanted to be like you.
Wow.
And this was a grown guy. And my daughter says, everywhere you go, you know somebody.
Well, you always have that personality too. You're so approachable. You're just fun.
Look, but you know what? In those days, I didn't know everybody, but I was popular because I played ball.
Yeah.
Right.
So you were even in high school. I mean, I went to high school. I mean, you go to Livingston High School, they don't have 2,000 kids in the school. I mean, I don't know how many kids are in the school.
Yeah.
I didn't know 80% of the kids that I went to school with.
But they knew you.
Yeah, because you know what?
Sports.
I played baseball. I had a reputation. He was a good ball player. People thought I was going to be a professional baseball player.
Yeah.
Okay, but a lot of these people, I didn't really know them.
You
How
didn't-
nice that he came up to you.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
really surprised. Okay, he said, "Are you Howie Weiss?" So when we
You
got
owe
in
me
the car with my
30,000
daughter,
for
when
the
I got in
shipment
the
of
car,
clothes.
I got in the car with my daughter. I said, "He recognized me. I look like an old Santa Claus now."
No.
Okay, I mean, compared to when I was 19, 18 years old.
Yeah.
But he recognized me. He said, "You were my idols." I said, "I appreciate that."
That's crazy.
That's pretty
Years
cool.
Later.
I remember a few times in high school, and I didn't appreciate it. People would ask me for my autograph. Can I sign the yearbook? You used to. I don't know if they do it anymore. When you graduate, you get
I think, yeah, they
a
do.
book
Yeah.
with a zipper all around and call. And people would come over to me. I didn't even know them. Could you please write something in my book? And I'd look at them like, who are you? I don't know who you are.
Right, and now, yeah, but
No,
that
but
meant the
when I
world
look
to
back,
them.
it's like these pro ball players. They sit and sign autographs. It's a good feeling.
It is. It
Somebody
is.
recognizes you. So it's good to see you. I'll see you
it's
tomorrow.
great. Well, yeah, so you'll come in tomorrow, but we'll do another podcast soon. You're
Huh?
willing? You're willing to come back and do another one with us?
Yeah, why not?
Good.
Let's do it.
All right.
Howie,
Thanks,
thank you.
Howie.